Hey, welcome guys. Today we are going to be doing our pre-build review on Tamiya's Comet, the can't read upside down, the A34. Now this kit came out all the way back in 2022, which is actually very surprising. I'm filming this in 2025. I think of this as a brand new kit, but just shows you how fast time flies. Now, I also will be doing a quick kind of unboxing and review. I have a couple of the TRex aftermarket parts, the upgrade sets for this, the 3D printed tracks, things like that. So I've been putting this off a little bit just because two reasons. One, I have a lot that's going to go into this kit, so I know it's going to be a lot of work. But two, admittedly, I have never used resin parts that come, like I've used the printed tracks that come clean, but I've never used them on the, I guess we'll call them sprue gates, whatever you call the resin connection points. So a little bit intimidated as to how I'm going to clean those up, but I figure it's a really good place to start because of the fact that it's an upgrade set. It means that I already have all the parts in this box. So anyways, let's flip it over to the bench and let's see what we got in here. All right, so the A34 Comet. Now, really quick, brief history on this vehicle. This came about from more or less failures of the Cromwell, obviously this being a British tank, but also of the Sherman. This tank was aimed to replace both of them on the battlefield. It's based off of the Cromwell. I mean, if you look at it, it looks very similar. About 40% of the parts were actually shared between the Cromwell and the Comet. They did a lot more welding on the Comet to make the armor stronger, and also added up to like 100 millimeters in the front. So this was supposed to obviously be much more of a match against a Tiger or a Panther. Fun fact, and I actually didn't know this, the Normandy cowling on the back was literally designed to spare this guy from sucking in exhaust fumes. So, fun fact there. They did plan on building about 3,000 Comets. In actuality, only 1,186 were built, with 143 being built before 1944. So this was almost exclusively a tank featured in 1945. Obviously, like we said, with the exception of a handful. Now, only 30 are recorded to be lost by the end of the war. Lost or damaged, which is actually very impressive. Now, this was at a time when, yes, you know, the Allies were pushing Germany across the Rhine and you know, on the Eastern Front as well, but and Germany was running out of fuel and tanks, but very successful. If you think about, you know, out of 1,000 plus being made and used in World War II, only 30 being lost. Along with this Tamiya kit, we have a couple upgrade sets that, I couldn't get this one to close, that I purchased from TRex. Now, these are not cheap by any means. I have not used 3D printed stuff a lot. I've used tracks a couple of times and I just wanted to give it a shot. And they had such a wealth of 3D printed parts for this kit, I said, hey, why not? Let's just go for it, and we'll get them all. TRex tracks are awesome, to be completely honest. They come completely, this is the set of Tiger tracks that I'm working on at the moment. They come completely cleaned up. They come with pins for each side. And they're just easy to put together. You do have some pins that fall out and things like that, but it's just really convenient. They are expensive, so I couldn't afford to do them on every single kit, but every once in a while, it's definitely nice. I'd suggest to treat yourself. We then have this upgrade set, which looks like we have a piece or two that broke off, but we have like a new muzzle brake. That antenna, those antennas look amazing compared to plastic. Not that the plastic doesn't look good, but we have like a machine gun, a turret, different headlights, and a bunch of stuff like that. So that will be really nice. We also have this canvas cover that just should add some nice folds and things like that that maybe we can't get out of the plastic. And then the wheel set. Now, I think I just went ahead and ordered all of the upgrade sets that went with this, just to see what was what. It's not that they don't look nice, they just, when we see the plastic here in a second, I don't know that those would be worth it if I was going to do this again. I think the antennas and the headlights, those are truly something that you can only get from a 3D printed kit. Now, we also get a sort of painting decal guide, and this is nice. It's not, I guess it is from 2022, so I can't truly compare it to like the new Panzer I that came out that had actual color photos of the Panzer I. But this being in color, it's still very, very nice if you want to follow it for the decals or decals if you're in the UK. We do get, you know, one action shot of the vehicle, but then I very much appreciate this as someone that, one, doesn't know all of the small terms, but also someone that forgets all of them. We get exact millimeter specifications of the machine gun and just the basic terms, right? We all know that that's the cupola and things like that, but it's just nice to have this. Makes you feel like a little bit less of an idiot at times. So great job by Tamiya on that, and nice to see that they keep getting better in terms of their kind of painting and history guides. I won't spend too long on the instructions. Really, the only things to point out is there's no like drill bit or anything that you need to do to this kit. There is an A and B version, and there's a couple different times in which it will tell you which things you need to either like cut off or leave on, but it's really, really simple. And the reason I like to point that out is for the longest time I did not have a drill bit. I didn't have, you know, I stayed away from photo etch. I still kind of do. It's just a little bit annoying in my opinion. So this is a kit that you could build actually with minimal tools. It might be a little bit more advanced because it does have link and length tracks and a good amount of parts for a Tamiya kit. This is really cool. If that's anything like the Panzer I, it's going to fit together perfectly and have some nice sag and be really, really well detailed, better than we could do with string or a wire cable. We have, here you go, A and B, right? So there's nothing you have to necessarily do. You just have to select the right parts for whatever cowling you want there. So typical Tamiya instructions, super, super detailed. You know, they even give you some ideas of using some of the stowage. So A+, as always, on the instructions. Now, let's open the kit and let's see what we have. So here we have, this is the tow cable that I was just showing in the instructions a second ago, at least two parts of it. We have this is kind of precariously in there, but we have a one-piece barrel with a two-piece muzzle brake. Now, that'll be interesting. This was one of the reasons I put this off with the 3D printed parts, is the 3D printed muzzle brake is one piece. Now I'm gonna have to surgically remove, you know, this part in order to get that to fit. So that'll be a little bit interesting. Maybe worth it, maybe not, I don't know. The 3D printed part obviously won't have seam lines, so that is nice. And then we have these are going to be, I believe, the inside of some of these hatches and stuff. And you can see there are some awesome, they're very subtle, very small, but some awesome folds from like the canvas material that would have been in there. So really, really nice. We do have some kind of welding here on, I don't know if that's not the cupola, but here's our two different cowlings. Some tools and things that are going to go on. And this antenna is fine. Looking at the difference between this and the 3D printed part, that like, night and day. As thin as this is and detailed, it's just, when you see the 3D printed one, it's pretty remarkable. Then we have our pretty much lower and upper hull here. We have our two figures, which the two figures look great. They unfortunately have been, their feet have been removed, so they'll no longer be able to walk. But we won't see them. If we do end up painting them, they're going to be, you know, kind of submerged into the commander hatch anyways. But they do look really, really nice. Typical to a lot of the new Tamiya figures, they're kind of cut in half, like lengthwise as well. I have no doubts that they will glue together perfectly and paint up very, very nice. All the new Tamiya figures are just excellent. This is the backside of like the upper hull. We do have some nice details molded on there. Now, some of this stuff people might nitpick because it does turn into a little bit of a blob, right? Some of these handles and stuff. There's no way to get to mold that and to get a space between the handle and the back of the tank, but they did a really good job detailing it. So if you want a more detailed and a more cumbersome build with tiny, tiny little grab handles, or you want to do that yourself, I'm sure there's other kits out there, but this will be kind of like a typical new Tamiya kit. These are going to go on the sides of the lower hull, so we do not have a bathtub style hull. And in the new Tamiya kits, this is like my favorite part of building them, is building up what would be the bathtub style hull. They've just engineered it in such a way that it just fits with an absolute pleasure. It's really fun to see how it comes together. We have more of the hull and the turret here. So obviously good rivet detail and things like that. We have our front cover that I have the 3D printed version. I will say this one is very, very nice. The 3D printed one, it does outshine it. The folds are a little bit more pronounced, and I think we'll be able to dry brush the 3D printed version a little bit better. But nothing too crazy here. You know, pretty much have all of the turret here. There's, I think, one piece of the turret on the other kit, and then both of the sides of the lower hull, fenders, things like that. But everything looks great. Everything looks very, very sharp. Classic new Tamiya. And then we'll only show one of these, but we have two of these sprues. This is what I was talking about with the road wheels, and I'm not going to bother to take them out of the 3D printed package. They almost look identical. I think maybe with the idlers and the sprockets is where you might get some better detail out of the 3D printed parts, but it's kind of a basic part, in my opinion. Something that we're going to put like dust and dirt on, maybe some mud. Kind of a basic part to spend on the 3D printed parts, but that will be up to you if you buy this kit and buy those parts. That is just my, obviously, personal opinion. We have our suspension elements and then our tracks. So they are link and length. We have a top portion with the sag built in, and then some other like multi-length portions that are going to be for, you know, the front and the back where it curves up. And then we have, to wrap around the sprockets and idlers, we have our singular pieces of track. And now here we have some little pieces of stowage. There's not a lot of stowage that comes with this kit, but just enough to give it a little bit something of interest. So we'll have two of those. And that's it for sprues. That's everything. We have two poly caps, a couple clear parts here. Looks like some periscopes, nothing too crazy. Sorry, not periscopes, headlight covers. And then very basic on our decals here. There's not a lot of decals that go into this kit, but we'll be able to do a star if we want. And then we have, you know, some very basic markings after that. So it looks like a great kit. If you didn't have all the 3D printed parts, I think this would be kind of that perfect blend of a quick build like a classic Tamiya build, but it's like, it has one extra sprue than maybe some of those quick build kind of classic Tamiya kits have. So you'll be building up the lower hull. It'll be a little bit more complex and a little bit more parts than some of those, you know, like the Cromwell, which I think was from the 90s. Don't quote me on that, but the Tamiya Cromwell was a super quick build, but it had the rubber band tracks and it had like a bathtub, or no, it didn't have a bathtub style hull, but it just had less parts. It was like one less sprue. So it built up like a little too quick. I think this got like Kit of the Year. This won all sorts of awards. I don't remember any of them off the top of my head, but that's what inspired me to build it. I also love British armor. It's just, it looks perfectly, I don't know, just different, quirky, and I love it. So I'm very, very excited to build this kit. If you've made it this far, I hope you enjoyed the review, and if you haven't already, I'd please ask you to like and subscribe. On the next video, we will be building this up, and then obviously subsequent videos, we will be painting and then weathering this kit. We are building the Tiger at the same time. I am very gracious. I'm going to be receiving some 3D printed parts from Fibbleworks, someone that commented on my YouTube video. So those are coming on Wednesday. We'll see what how delayed customs, because they're coming from the Great White North of Canada. See what customs does to that. Probably nothing good. So want to get this started as that project gets not delayed, but pushed back by like a week. So anyways, hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you on the build video. Thanks for watching.